What do you love to do? What are you good at? Can you make money doing it? And the fourth one is the tricky one. What's the difference that you want to make? Two fundamental questions every time you pick a problem. Number one, can I make any money doing it? And number two, am I going to have any fun doing it? Just try it. Try everything you can think of and see what happens and see if you enjoy it.
Hey, Steve. Welcome again.
Welcome again. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. And, today's topic is going to be Ikigai. Last week when we did our first podcast, we touched upon Ikigai a little bit. And I thought it's a good idea for us to, do a little bit deep dive into Ikigai. Specifically, I would be interested to know, and I'm sure the audience will also be interested to know, what is Ikigai? Why should you find your own Ikigai? And what does it take, to follow your passion and things like that? So,
Yee. Tall order. Well, first of all, I'm not really sure if we're pronouncing the word right. It's a Japanese term, and it's spelled Ikigai.
Okay.
And again, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, but I really like it as Ikigai. I mean, it seems like a contradiction in terms because the concept itself is about 4 critical ingredients. And if you're familiar with a thing called a Venn diagram,
yes,
which is simply a handful of circles on a piece of paper and how they intersect. And if you put 4 equal size circles on a piece of paper and where they all intersect would be your Ikigai. And those 4 circles represent 4 fundamental concepts.
Those are the components of Ikigai.
Yeah, okay. These are the components of Ikigai. What do you love to do? What are you good at? Can you make money doing it? And the fourth one is the tricky one. What's the difference that you want to make? Seth Godin uses a term called dent in the universe. What is the dent that you want to make? And I think it takes a while to figure that out. I coach startups and freelancers, and most people think that, well, Steve, I guess you're coaching young people, 20-year-olds. No, I really like to coach 50-year-olds. People that have been in the corporate world for 20 or 30 years, and they've been exposed to a lot of different things. And like me, what happened to me, one day when I was around 55 or 56, I woke up and went, wait a minute, I'm not the same knucklehead I used to be. I'm a lot smarter. And it's not that I'm smarter, it's just that I'm more experienced. And I've been through more things. And I now know a lot better the things I like and the things I don't like. And it's the things you don't like that I think help shape this more than the things you do like. And if you start making that list,
right,
I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to do that. And sorry, Mr. Freeman, but that's one way to start separating what the chaff from your life and figure out what the wheat is. What is it you really want to do? And that's what Ikigai is.
So let me ask you a personal question. What's your Ikigai?
It's being useful, but it's being useful where my skills come into play. And what do I like to do? And more simply stated, who do I like to hang out with? I like to hang out with people like you and Arian, people who have an entrepreneurial mindset, people who are thinking about how can I make the future better? That's where I like to hang out. And those are the people I like to hang out with. And going to business networking meetings and meeting those people. The people who are the entrepreneurs. Because they're the ones that are thinking outside of the box.
Absolutely.
That's where I like to hang out.
Right. In my case, I love chess. I love business too. And it started off with business. But I really think that my calling is chess. And I love to implement chess in business and business in chess. So my Ikigai, I think, is chess. We've started this company called Chess Klub. Actually, my wife's the one who started it. It started in 2019, and fast forward 4 years or 5 years, we are in 3 countries, in 11 centers, teaching over 600 students. That's just the traction numbers, but the fact that we're able to impact so many kids around the world and teach them strategies, tactics, and life lessons. I feel that's my Ikigai. And, the passion that we have for the coaches that we have and their passion to make an impact to the world is actually what's driving me and my team.
And that word impact,
Yeah.
I think, is one of the fundamental motivators behind any one of us that decide to start a freelance business. Now, yours is beyond freelancing. You have turned it into this multi-person event where you are now impacting other people. Hopefully they have that same passion that you do so that they can duplicate it.
Right.
So that they can pass on that same passion for the benefits that come to someone who understands the game of chess. Because it is a mental exercise to do it.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, hate that expression, but no matter what, we as human beings live in our own heads. And it's the way we think
Right.
that matters. And if you can understand the game of chess and how this move is going to affect a future move,
Right.
that is a powerful piece of knowledge.
Cool. So, Ikigai and entrepreneurship go hand in hand. Can you talk a little bit about that part? Why each of those entrepreneurs should be, passionate about their Ikigai.
When I first started to think about being my own business and doing my own thing, the first thought process I went through was, well, what does the world need? Well, the world needs a lot. So that really didn't help. I mean, you could pick any problem in the world and decide that I'm going to go fix that problem. I'm going to go fix world hunger. I'm going to go fix poverty. I'm going to go fix... The list goes on and on and on. Okay. Two fundamental questions every time you pick a problem. Number one, can I make any money doing it? And number two, am I going to have any fun doing it?
Right.
Is that what I really want to do? You and I both know an old friend of mine, Dick Timpone,
Yeah.
who taught me very simply, Steve, if it ain't fun, don't do it. And that is what Ikigai is about. Ikigai is about figuring out that which you can have fun doing.
Yeah. I mean, classic example, the Cattlers, they love traveling around the world and they have a lot of fun and they make money doing it.
Yeah, that's
their
the thing.
Ikigai.
That's their Ikigai.
Yeah.
And if you're going to start a business, do it that way.
Yeah.
Do what you love to do.
Absolutely.
Yep, that's Ikigai.
Cool. So, and I know you have spoken this quite a few times. What are the steps involved in finding your Ikigai?
I wish I had a good answer to that one. Harry and I were talking about that a little bit before we started here, about going to school and getting ourselves educated. What are we educating ourselves for? Oh, we're educating ourselves for a career so that we can go out and make money. Yeah, that's pretty much what we do. But is that really any fun? I mean, when I started off in college, I wanted to be an economics major. I didn't even know what an economics major was. And I got into econ, macro econ or something, and took a test and flunked it horribly. And thought, this isn't any good. I don't understand this at all. How can this possibly be of any value? So, switched majors. Big deal. What is it that we're learning in our educational system? And Arian and I made the same comment. We agreed that just try it. Try everything you can think of and see what happens and see if you enjoy it. There's a concept in a book out there called flow, F-L-O-W. And it's the concept of when you start doing something and you're just doing it and doing it and doing it. And all of a sudden you look at your watch and you realize 6 hours went by. That might be your Ikigai. That might be your passion. If you could sit down and do something and not even realize how much time goes by, that might be your passion. That might
Right.
be where you're supposed to spend your time.
Interesting. What are some of the challenges that as small business owners would face trying to find their Ikigai, and what are some of the misconceptions?
I'm going to suggest that the first challenge is the way that we think and the way that a new business starter thinks. And we focus first on what does the market really want? And we think about the market. Oh my gosh, is there a market out there for what I'm doing? And what does the market really want? How am I going to get there? What should I charge? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what we think about. And it's not what we should be thinking about. We should be thinking about ourselves first. And we used this analogy last time we spoke about the oxygen masks that come
Right.
down from it during the airplane ride. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Whatever business you decide to go into, it's going to need fuel. Some way, somehow. You're going to have to be rewarded for the work that you do. Whether that reward is monetary or whether that reward is in the results that you deliver. But something's got to fuel you to keep going. And preferably, it's both. You're pleased and delighted with the outcomes that you provide your clients. And at the same time, you've got enough money to be able to have breakfast.
And lunch.
And lunch.
Very good. What kind of mindset you need to be changing or you need to be adapt, in finding your Ikigai and proceeding with it?
This is an interesting answer, I think, because the key to your Ikigai is selfishness. It's you doing what you want to do. Another book and another author that I like is Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
And she's written The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. But she's also written a book called Selfishness. And her premise behind that is if we all do what we're intended to do, the world's a better place. And, okay, well, what am I intended to do? What am I supposed to do? Why am I here? That's what we got to figure out. And I don't think we have to rush into that. I mean, the sooner we could figure it out, the better, I believe. And I certainly encourage people to change your mind. If you are going down this path and all of a sudden something happens and you start going off on a different path, I think that's fine too. As long as it's still within your own selfish demeanor. This is what I need in order for me to be happy and fruitful and productive in my day-to-day events. I mean, how do we do that? How do we decide what we're going to do today?
Right.
I mean, you came up with this idea to do these podcasts. Really? What were you thinking about? Whoops. How do we do that? How do we make these decisions about what we're going to do every day? What's the point?
It's kind of purpose-driven. So,
especially when we get out from underneath a corporate hierarchy where they put us in a cubicle and they expect us to do that particular function. Okay, I get that. But once you get out of that, now it's up to you.
absolutely.
You have to define your own cubicle.
Find your own purpose
Yeah.
and what kind of impact are you going to create. How do you see Ikigai being applicable in the modern world? Because, on social media, there's so much of information, and you talk about it all the time. There's so much of information, there's like too much of information, right? And how do you find your own purpose in that crowd and try to find, your Ikigai?
I think Ikigai becomes a filter for all of that noise. I think you start to figure out these are the filters that I want to be able to apply to all of this content. And I think this is connected to Ikigai. I know it's connected to me. And that is to be able to simplify. And to be able to focus on what I want to focus on. I have a pretty wide top of the funnel in terms of what comes into my inbox, but I wade through it all the time. And if there's something there that gets my attention, I'll look at it for a little while. And if it's of value, according to my definitions,
Right.
I might spend a little bit more time with it. But I'm pretty selective about that. And I think Ikigai has helped me do that, to be able to wade through the noise and try to keep my conversations and my thought processes focused on the things I enjoy and the difference that I want to make, the value that I want to deliver to my friends and clients.
Right. So, you coach a lot of businesses, small businesses and startups and freelancers. There are a lot of people out there listening to this. Many of them would be small business owners and freelancers. What advice would you give them to be able to find their own Ikigai?
Well, first of all, there's a significant difference between a freelancer and an employer.
Right.
And you become an employer.
Yeah, in one side, yes.
And there's a difference. When you think about the way we run our businesses, it is kind of like a funnel. But when you're the freelancer, you are at the bottom of the funnel. You're trying to get people to come down to where you are. Or you can start finding the people that you want to connect with. So it's the bottom of the funnel where we freelancers focus. And so our freelance business, or even a small business, still begins with the same focus. And that is, who do I really want to help? And if I can figure that out, now this is where I start with all of my clients. Let's write the testimonial.
With the end in mind.
Yeah. What's the testimonial going to look like? And we may not get it right the first time we write it up, but that's where it starts. When you start thinking about, well, this is who my ideal client is. This is why they hired me. This is the problem that they had, or this is the result they wanted. This is the work that we did. This is the result that we got. And this is what I now have that I didn't have before. So in the case of a testimonial, what we're looking at is, this is where they were before. This is the after.
Right.
And if you can start to put that on paper, that's a great starting point.
Right. What are some of the daily practices that one must do as a small business owner or a freelancer, towards your life and purpose?
The key to freelancing, I believe, once you figure out what your gig really is, and once you know who your ideal client is, now it's a matter of building your brand and expanding your brand.
Right.
And that's the phrase I like to use at Business Club, that come to Business Club, expand your brand, stand up, say something, allow the people in the group to get to hear you think. It's not enough just to tell people that this is who you are and this is what you do. Okay, fine. There's lots of people doing that. But you are standing in front of people right now, and you have an opportunity to reveal a little bit about the way you think. And that's what matters, because the key differentiator in the world of freelancing is our character. And you have to be able to reveal that.
Yeah.
You have to show people that you do care, that you do have some knowledge, and you do have some insights, and you do have some experience, and you have an ability to actually say something that has meaning and or a sense of care and concern. What kind of person are you?
Right.
And one of the fundamental questions, and you know this, is why are you doing this?
Exactly. Start of the why.
You could have done anything. Why did you decide to focus on this? Because that's the difference I want to make. Comes back to Ikigai.
Great. So in many instances, I had this personal experience as well. Why we do a lot of good stuff, along the journey we get stuck. And what would you recommend what kind of change in the mindset would you recommend for us to have, to get back on track?
this is something that is almost contradictory to my persona. And that is, have somebody that you can talk to, a mentor, a coach, somebody that you can be unplugged, as Eric Clapton said, and just to be able to talk openly and honestly without fear of anything.
Right.
And to just be able to talk. This world of AI is another opportunity to do that.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
You can talk to ChatGPT, and you can have those same kind of conversations. And if you could build up an ongoing conversation with ChatGPT, and whenever you get stuck, you could just stop in and say, "Hey, give me a clue. What am I supposed to do to that?"
Right. What's that? Unshackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know why, but my career I've always been kind of a lone wolf. I've always kind of wanted to do things exactly my way.
Right.
And I know that's who I am, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that. And I am a contrarian. If everybody's going that way, I'm going that way. Because there's a market everywhere. I mean, you don't have to worry about that. As a freelancer, if we get 50 clients a year, you know what that is? Pretty damn good.
Yeah, you're right. All depends on how you monetize them, and
Exactly.
yeah. Very cool. So we are coming towards the end of our conversation. I have a few questions here for you. It's the rapid fire round. Take a minute or so to answer them. And, if you don't feel comfortable, don't answer it. But still, let's just give it a shot.
Okay, dope.
So one word that captures the Ikigai for you.
Well, the definition of it is a purposeful life.
Okay. That's great. And what's the best way to discover what you love?
Try everything.
Try everything. Okay. And then figure out what you really want to zone in on what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the cardinal rule of consulting is no matter what the client asks you, say yes.
And then figure out.
And then go figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, come back and say, "Hey, I made a mistake."
Ask for apologies.
Yeah.
Not for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah.
So not so forgiveness and not permission.
Yeah.
Cool. What's a common roadblock to finding the Ikigai?
Money.
An activity that instantly connects you to your Ikigai. Meditation?
Meditation.
Okay.
Just some time to think.
Right.
Before I came here, I got here early, and I love doing that. Whenever I had appointments as a rep, I would always get there early. And I'd go find a place where I could just sit and think about what's going on. My brother told me a long, long time ago, he said, "Steve, every now and again, you just have to take 5 minutes to think."
Yeah. It's a big part of us.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
So what's the most rewarding aspect of coaching entrepreneurs to find their purpose?
I don't think it's the end result. I think it's the process. It's the conversations
Journey.
that we have. It's just when I have an opportunity, the way I do it is I have a 1 hour long conversation with my clients, usually once a week. And I limit it to an hour. And I limit it to a half page of notes because that's enough. But man, those conversations are just fabulous because we put theory to the test.
Right.
And we try and we err. And it's a brainstorming session that usually winds up with a couple of action items, but they're not mandatory. I don't like that. I don't like the concept of homework. I don't like you have to go do that. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
Other than think. That's the whole point.
Any mantra, any favorite mantra or quote that you want to share regarding Ikigai?
Well, I shared it before. If it ain't fun,
Don't do it.
don't do it.
Dick Timpone.
Dick
That's
Timpone. Yeah, bless him indeed.
Yeah. Well, Steve, Thank you very much, Hank, once again, showing your insights, talking to us about Ikigai. I'm sure the audience would have loved it, and they would probably want to know more about it.
I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that at any time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you're like an Ikigai expert. Yeah, man, I've attended your workshop, and they're really, really interesting, and I've learned so much from each time that I've come and attended. And it's similar content, but every time I come, I take some new nuggets out of it. So thank you again.
Why, thank you.
Hey guys, I hope you really liked the video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and comment. And we would like to reach many more small business owners. I would really appreciate if you can share the video with them as well. Thank you, and see you until next time. Have a great one.